Okay, is everybody ready to call the meeting to order? Okay. Stephanie's coming.
We have a call to order for the Bartlett Economic Development Commission for the August 13th, 2018 meeting. Do we have a roll call, Tony?
Jerry Cabasco,
Here.
Cecilia Green, Robert Perry,
Here.
Tracy Smedilla,
Here.
Annette Gutenkopf,
Here.
Joel Laporte, Adam Lewinsky,
Here.
Dan Gunstein,
Here.
Stephanie Ganzi. Here. Great, thank you. We have a quorum, 8 out of 9.
Okay, next agenda item would be the approval of the July 9th, 2018 meeting minutes. Do we have a discussion?
Yes, I would like to move to amend the meeting minutes as presented. On the third page of our meeting minutes, it's indicated that I seconded a motion to, seconded the motion to recommend awarding a $25,000 grant to Indian Express. That motion was actually seconded by Commissioner Ganzi.
Thank you. We'll make that amendment.
Any further discussion? Do we have a motion to approve?
I motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Fourth agenda item would be the BEDA application of the Siri Indian Grocery at 947 South Route 59.
Thank you. You have before you tonight the second BEDA application, as Jerry just stated, for Siri Indian Grocery Store. Staff has been working with the petitioner, Lakshmi Nukala, and her husband, Sundir Nukala, and Jay. I'm gonna not try to say his last name right now, but Jay, thank you, Balasubramanian. To expand Siri Indian Grocery Store to include hot food sales for carryout customers, which would supplement and add to the business's current offerings. Another summary of the BEDA program, as you recall, is this new program just started this year as a way to attract new sales tax producing businesses, such as the one you saw before you last month with Indian Express. But also the program is open to help existing businesses in the community expand. So this program funds a number of business-related expenses, including but not limited to interior build-outs and various code compliance items. So a little bit of background about Siri Indian Grocery Store. They've been here in the village now for 6 years, located at 947 South Route 59 in the Apple Valley Commons Shopping Plaza. They sell grocery items, as the name suggests, of particular interest to the Indian community. For Apple Valley Commons, for those of you unfamiliar with the names of the various strip centers in town, everybody knows it's where Dog Father's located, and Jersey Mike's, and Bao Chinese, and a number of other businesses over there. A lot of food-related businesses in that area. So in terms of the application, they have submitted a proposal that's in the packet, dated July 7th by Finnegan Development, who would be the contractor for plumbing, electrical, and general contracting work, and another one from Paulson Specialties for the kitchen hood installation. That one's dated back March 1st. Their kitchen build-out will cost approximately $75,000, and also in the packet is an equipment list for the new equipment that's going to be installed for the build-out of the kitchen. Their proposed floor plan includes the build-out of a kitchen and includes all associated equipment that you would expect of any restaurant, really. A wall-mounted hood, a range, and a 3-compartment sink. I would like to add, although I didn't write it in this report, but I had met with the applicants a number of times, and I'm sure they'll speak to this as well, but they got quite a few bids, several. They presented several additional ones to me that were much higher in price. And as a matter of fact, by my understanding, the quote from this particular contractor has risen actually since the one submitted in your packet. So that said, they show a build-out cost of about $75,000 in this application. So as the village's second applicant for this program, Ms. Nukala has requested a BEDA grant. And you can see in the application, they wrote $30,000 to $45,000. They provided a range and said that if approved, the completion date for their build-out would take approximately 2 months. In terms of any job creation, which I asked about the last time I met with them prior to putting this packet together, they said that it would create 2 additional positions, one for Ms. Nukala in the food preparation, as well as an additional clerk position. I can speak from my own experience. It seems like it's been a 1-person operation so far to date. And as Sundar can speak to, I stop in there exactly 1 day per month over the last 6 years that they've been open, after going to the Great Clips next door. So anyhow, the BEDA program was created, as you know, with the first year allocation of $150,000. And because of that, staff is recommending a rebate in the amount of $15,000 for this project, which amounts to almost 20% exactly of the total project cost. The explanation for this is, again, taking into consideration, same thing I said here last month, several additional likely applicants within the next few months, including some that will have substantially more investment level, private investment than this particular project. So staff is recommending to the EDC to, asking the EDC to recommend an approval of a BEDA grant for Siri Indian Grocery in the amount of $15,000, which, as you know, would be forwarded to the village board for final approval. And this is just a reminder that funds are in this program are released following the expenditures being made and the full documentation of the funds being spent with contracts stamped paid, canceled checks, lien waivers, similar to what we did previously when there was a TIF district in the downtown. Of course, we document that the work's been done to code and that all the contractors have been fully paid. And then moving beyond that, what you see is the attached quotes from the various contractors that Siri Indian Grocery would be using to complete this program. You see some renderings of the kitchen and the build-out. I don't have full set of building plans here, but enough to show you the basis of the scope of the work that they're going to be doing. And you also see the quote from Paulson Specialties, and which also Factotum, another one of their contractors. That's the letter from Factotum is the management company for Apple Valley Center. As a tenant, this program requires either a signature on the application or a letter like this. We've only had 2 of these. The first one being an owner of a unit. So this is the approval from the management company giving Siri the go-ahead to apply for this. And then the very last few pages is the list of the kitchen equipment that they intend to purchase. So with that, I can answer some questions if you have them, or also present the petitioners here if you have any questions for them or would like to hear from them.
Thank you, Tony, and thank you, welcome, and we appreciate you being here and participating in this program. My first question is regarding the application itself, and Ms. Is it Nukala? Yes. Nukala, you're the actual applicant for this, yet we see Mr. Nukala and Jay as, are you the proprietors of Siri Grocery?
Could you step up?
Okay, we'll have you step to the podium.
Yeah, step up to the microphone.
Oh, there we go, one there too.
Introduce yourself.
My name is Sundar Nokala,
Yes,
and I am the managing, and she is my wife, Lakshmi Nokala. And he is my partner, Jay, and he has a restaurant in the Schaumburg by name Dakshin, and he is operating that one more than 18 years, and he is going to come and help me.
great.
And 6 years back, we started that grocery store, and it's working very nicely, and we would like to do only carry out, we would like to add carry out to the grocery store.
Is your wife a partner in the business?
Yeah.
She is, okay, so you're listed as a sole proprietorship, an LLC?
Basically, she is the owner. 100% she is the owner.
You are the owner, okay. So you hold the business license? Okay, thank you. So there's no sit-down dining in this
No, ma'am.
establishment? This is strictly carry-out? So you'd be similar to like how Mariano's or the Polish Deli, how they have carry-out
Yeah.
food in addition to grocery?
Right.
Terrific. Now, are you actually expanding the footprint of the building as well? Or the current retail, or the current location that you have in the grocery?
Yeah.
Are you expanding that, or you're reconfiguring the footprint to include the kitchen?
At this moment, no, we are not expanding. At this moment, we do have 1,400 square feet,
Okay,
and we would like to use around more than half to the kitchen and grocery store also in the front.
okay, so you're gonna have your grocery store up in the front, just maybe shrink the amount of grocery offerings so that you can have hot food preparation?
Yeah, but because in and around no Indian grocery store, and a lot of people are coming for the hot food also. At this moment, we are selling from the restaurant only cold food and only keeping in the cooler.
Okay.
We know very well, 6 years we are there, and we know very well it will work very nicely.
So just cold prepared food now, so now you can offer hot meals. Okay, great, thank you.
Do you have a set amount in your head about how much more revenue you will bring in by adding the hot food? Is it like 10% more, 20% more?
Easily 30% more, sir. 25 to 30% easily more, we can get more when compared to at this moment the grocery store.
So you expect it to be somewhat substantial then? Okay.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. We would like to do the lunch, dinner, everything. And in the future, we would like to start from the breakfast also.
Would you say your target person is someone coming in for lunch or like bringing home for the entire family?
For the entire family, they can take mostly the carry-out, everything. I would like to see that in that area, we do have around 5 to 6 all are only the food area only. And mostly the people take a carry-out. 70 to 80% only carry-out the people take. We will also do the same. And we would like to extend the hours also. At this moment, we do have from 11 to 9. But in the future, we would like to do from around 8 o'clock, something like that.
So thank you for coming in today. I'd like to ask you, you says your revenue is going to increase substantially,
Can you say yes?
correct?
Sorry?
The revenue
Revenue, yeah.
is going to increase substantially, is that correct?
Yeah, 100% right, sir. We can increase it a lot. Yeah,
Okay. So when your revenue increases substantially, do you see hiring more people?
definitely, sir. Yeah. We'll see more people, yeah. And hiring also, at this moment, yeah, you are right. At this moment, we would like to hire immediately one chef, main chef, and one assistant. And in the future, we would like to add easily another two chefs. Because that's why we would like to keep the more kitchen space more.
Yes, well, you know, the village likes to see more people employed, so
Definitely.
glad to hear that you're going to hire more people.
Yeah.
And we're glad to help you on that end. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Jay, did I understand you saying that you're in the restaurant business in Schaumburg as well? I just have a couple of questions, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you. So you have a business in Schaumburg, you said,
I do have a
correct?
restaurant in
Just
Schaumburg.
one unit,
Yes, one
And
unit.
it's a restaurant and grocery, or is it just?
No, it's a dine-in restaurant.
A dine-in restaurant?
dine-in
Okay,
restaurant.
that's terrific. So you'd actually be the support staff to?
Yes, I'm the one setting up the kitchen, and I'm the one arranging the chef,
Okay.
assistant cook, and the helper to set up the whole kitchen.
Okay,
To run the food things, I'm the one going to manage.
okay, so you have the experience with actual hot food preparation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, terrific, that's good to know. And then going back to the questions regarding revenues coming in, certainly groceries are taxed a little bit different than meals to take away. Have you already discussed how you'd be setting up the differentiation between prepared food sales and grocery sales for taxation? Because certainly when we talk about enhanced revenues, that piques the interest of both appointed and elected officials in Bartlett. And have you projected revenues based on your research specifically for the hot food preparation?
Yeah, we just like from his current sale, we are expecting 25 to 30% increase the sale in a starting stage.
Okay, but again, let's delineate that. We're talking about increased revenues, but I'm assuming you're not going to be decreasing your grocery sales. You want
No,
to
no, we're
keep
not gonna
that at
be.
least static.
Yes.
But now you're going to be having projected sales for hot food,
Yes.
prepared food preparation. Have you anticipated what those sales might be?
We are expecting close to like a 4 to 5K per week,
Okay, so about 20,
like a 20K.
about $20,000 a month
more
then,
for the month we
estimated?
are expecting.
Okay, all right, that's pretty ambitious, but that's good to know. And how did you come to that number?
Because I do have a restaurant, so kind of what are the cold food you've been selling for the years?
Okay.
I've been checking out those things, so the hot food level, so how many portions we are trying to do it. So this is kind of like because now we have a lot of delivery systems like Uber Eats, GrabHub, those kind of lot of delivery systems are there.
Okay.
The people's not come inside to get the food, so they get delivered. We don't
Okay.
have to do anything else. Like we just get the order.
And that's what you anticipate for Siri Kitchen as well, is for,
Yes.
like the Grubhub or the
Yeah,
Uber?
they will come and just pick up the food. As long as we get the order from the online, they come and pick up the food to deliver to the customer houses.
Okay,
So those are the way because right now how I'm doing with the Uber Eats and the GrabHub sales, we just come up with those numbers, ma'am.
okay, so then you can safely estimate you're going to have about $20,000 per
Yeah,
month
close, at
in
least
hot
like,
food sales
least
based on your research from your existing business and that from Uber Eats or Grubhub?
Uber Eats and we are searching a lot of Indian people who are living like a settled down crowd out there. So everybody and we are kind of like focusing on more kind of southern food, which is like it's not common, so they really feel like a homemade food, which goes very well to that neighborhood.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I just have a couple quick questions. Does the applicant have any plans to expand to a full restaurant, or is he keeping this more as a carry-out only business? Only carry, okay. Right, I didn't know if there was a opportunity to expand into a restaurant in that mall over there.
Not at this point, just due to the other tenants in the center. I know that Great Clips has relocated, but it's not exactly right next door to them. So at this point, it seems like they're going to build out their existing space,
Okay.
and without any plans, I haven't heard any plans from them yet.
Do we know the term of their existing lease? Is it a
No,
long-term lease?
you know what, I didn't ask that. I'm sure they'd be willing. I would imagine at least 4 more years if they've been there for 6 years, but
Extending your lease for 3 more years? Okay.
yeah. I like to add that even now, at any time, there's a high demand in Bartlett for spaces that have kitchens, ready kitchens. There's not one available right now. So it's an improvement to the space, really.
It is, but the equipment goes, if for some reason they left, their equipment would leave with them, correct?
If they purchase their equipment, it would. When you install a hood, a lot of the work that you have to do to meet code is work to the structure itself to be able to ventilate. And that's usually one of the larger expenses, so that they will be adding a hood. I would imagine they would own their own equipment and take it with them if they left.
I just wanted to know if the city, they're committing a lot of resources to them, and just wanted to see if it was a long-term lease that they're sitting on to keep them, 5, 6 years out.
That's a good question. I mean, I know they have a few years left on their lease, like you just stated. A lot of the businesses in that vicinity, I want to add, this is kind of backtracking, but they had some leaner times when the Dominick's closed and sat empty for a number of years. So I've been in contact with them probably every month since they've been open, really as a customer, but also talking with them. And I feel they've shown their commitment over the period of 6 years, being the only Indian grocery store in the area. So they might be able to speak better than that I could, but I think they've shown their commitment to that location.
And I'm sorry, would you reiterate the terms of your lease? You just signed a new lease or extended your lease? 3, so that goes through 2021? Thank you. Sure.
Are there certain groceries you're gonna need to get rid of to make the space, or you're just gonna reconfigure the grocery space and keep the same amount? And will you guys be able to stay open during the construction of the kitchen portion?
Tony, can you give the exact address of the business?
Thank you. I was just looking for their application. 947 South Illinois Route 59.
937?
947,
47?
right.
Thank you.
Tony, I have a couple questions, and they're more for you. I'm inclined to support you guys. It seems like you're very well prepared. But in relation to the BEDA program in general, it's hard to do this kind of piecemeal, in my opinion, because essentially we're budgeting for a pilot program with a finite amount of resources. Is there any way to get a roadmap of like what applications might be coming, or is it just this is what's in front of us?
Yeah, at this point, It's handled on an application-by-application basis. When it comes to a lot of the other projects, and anybody who's been in commercial real estate understands the period of due diligence that somebody does while they investigate a potential purchase and/or redevelopment of a property. A lot of times they request confidentiality first and foremost. And you're right, I do allude to other applications that are coming. I could generally say they'll be of larger investments than the first two that you've seen, and that most likely that one of them will be before you next month. So that's why, as a staff, with this pilot program, with a very limited amount of funding, it's incumbent on our staff. Scott and I meet with the applicants, and we kind of vet them out and what their projects are, all the while we're keeping in mind how the BEDA funds can be best allocated village-wide. And so 50,000 is the maximum amount, and it's quite possible that we would have more $50,000 applications than we have funding within the next 2 or 3 months. So that would be the next issue. So I could say generally they'll be somewhat larger projects, and I think probably every project you see come before you will have some element of food related to it, most likely.
When you seek the, 15,000 figure that you came up with, does that take what you see in the future into account?
Yeah, that's a fair thing to say. It's quite possible that we'll have two in the full $50,000 amount. It's hard to speculate, but I mean, one of them, the preliminary meetings and the application's already been submitted. Okay, so that's something we know that's going to be coming up soon. The other ones are larger projects, so they're still earlier in the works. But they're projects that our staff and I think the village as a whole would like to see them come to fruition. So that's kind of a longer answer. For the short answer, yes, we're trying to figure out how to best divvy up the remaining funds.
Tony, is the village going to, is the village in any position to offer any marketing or advertising assistance regarding the expansion of the business to make people aware of that?
Yeah, we do that,
In a
absolutely.
Bartlett letter, or maybe the chamber could do something?
Yes, well, one of the things we've just started and had quite a bit of success with the last few months are the business spotlight videos that we've done. And we certainly would love to feature Siri Indian Grocery when they expand into the realm of providing hot food. So we can do that. Another thing we do every December is a coupon insert, and they have participated, I'm going to say it lasts 3 or 4 years in a row, at least. Some of the other, let me think of some of the other, those are the primary ways that we help promote local businesses through the media channels that the village controls. We would urge them to join the Chamber of Commerce if they're not members already. Maybe do one of those after-hour type of events. There's a lot of different ways that, besides the cold hard cash of the BEDA program, there's other ways that the village can certainly help promote them. And again, it's a very unique business. It's a small ethnic grocery store, right on Route 59, basically. So we'll definitely keep them in mind when we're promoting local businesses.
I'd just like to see word get spread that there's availability of Indian carryout, so they get off to a robust start once they're.
Yeah, one of the
Project's
things you
completed.
haven't seen, those of you who've been on the EDC for a while, is the annual dining guide. And it's probably a good time to do one for the fall, perhaps next month. And the joke I sometimes make about the dining guide is it's in flux so much of the time. There's always somebody right about to open who you want to wait for you to put them in, but that could be something that we include. And, yeah, the village can promote it probably through the newsletter also. That's a good, the Bartlett has a high level of readership. Between our social media and the newsletter, that's a lot of exposure for a local business. So we'll definitely do that.
What is the current food and beverage sales tax rate as it relates to Bartlett? Like what percentage of sales do we get?
Yeah, I mean, the village portion of it,
I mean, there is no food
yeah,
and
there's
beverage
no
tax.
extra tax, it's
okay.
the same
It's a
sales tax.
Just the sales tax?
Yeah, yeah, so
What
1%,
percentage goes to the 1%? Okay.
right, or is it 2%?
There's a 1% sales tax, and there's also, that was passed this year, 1% home rule sales tax. So essentially, it's 2%. Yeah.
Applicant, though. So, as you know, I'm really glad to see we have another grocery store in town here. So it's nice to have somebody in the community. I'm just curious, as a fellow business owner myself, when you change your business strategy, what made you decide to get into the food business rather than the grocery business? I'm just curious.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we're recording these. Yeah, thank you.
Basically, we do have around 40 to 45% of the, at this moment, in the frozen food.
Okay.
Like a garlic naan or vegetarian, non-vegetarian, everything. Curries made, pre-made, and put in the boxes. And we do have the parathas, naans, and everything. Just you go and heat and eat. Anybody can do like that in the microwave, or mostly maximum in the oven toaster for 5 minutes or 2 minutes like that. And people are happy, they are having that one. That is the first one, what we are having now. And the second one, we are getting the food from the restaurants, like chicken biryani, all the biryani, rice with the non-vegetarian, vegetarian, and the curries from the India food and everything. And we are keeping in the cooler. And people are simply, they are taking. Now, and most of the people, particularly on the Tuesday, everybody sees and what's happening in our store. But because we put the catering, we do the catering, and of course we'll take the order from the customer, and we will give again back to the restaurant, and on some profit basis we'll do that one. And we will do the cooler one and the frozen one. But I'm not happy that much. And when on Tuesday particularly, people will come for the dog father and everyone, and even the bowers also. And they will ask that, hey, do you have any food for the lunchtime particularly? They not have the time, and mostly they will sit in the car and they will finish, and within 5 minutes they will go. And they not have the time, and we not have that much space also to heat up only in the microwave and everything. Everybody wants within 2 minutes, and if it is the fresh food, hot food, anybody can take it. And those things we will have in the Saturdays, Sundays, the people will come and they will have a lot.
I'm confident you'll be successful in your new business venture. It's worked in the past with grocery stores. I've seen it, and it works pretty good. So I wish you the best in that. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think we're seeing in the grocery business, especially in the big grocers, that you take the Costco's, the Mariano's, the Walmarts, they're all having restaurants
Restaurants, yeah.
that they're serving besides
Right.
getting their groceries there. So I think that's a coming trend, and I think you're right in the trend.
I would like to mention another thing, sir. When we are going to the restaurant, minimum you have to keep for the item around $12, $13. Even at least if you are going the buffet also, you have to put minimum $13, $14. And even if you are taking the one item in our frozen section also, you have to pay around $6.99, $7.99. Again, you have to, of course, from the frozen heating up, and that is not that much tasty, that much not, you're not happy that much. But when you are having that my immediate food, then that one we would like to keep maximum price is $7. With one curry or thali means one rice will come, paratha or roti will come, or naan will come, and 2 curries, either veg, non-veg, and 1 sweet. But because being the grocery, yeah, we know that directly we are getting the stuff, and he is making. And at this moment, being the restaurant, he has to get from the third party, and he has to make it. But whereas the grocery already I'm getting directly from the vendors, and we can do that one so that we can cut cost the price, and we can give more to the customer, and directly the food is hot. Definitely, we can have an edge.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to comment, I think, and just expanding on Commissioner Perry's comments, that I think it's important that sometimes as businesses, we reinvent ourselves to keep ourselves fresh and current, not just so that we maintain a business longevity, but certainly remain relevant to the customers as well. So I applaud the effort. Also, since you've been in the community for 6 years, you've just extended the lease. If there's no further discussion, I would make a motion to approve the recommended $15,000 grant to Siri Grocery and Kitchen.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry. This gets forwarded on to the Village Board Committee in an upcoming meeting, and I'll keep you apprised of that.
Okay, Tony, next agenda item would be new business.
Thank you. I have a few new business items to report to the EDC tonight. First of which, since our last meeting, some of you may have heard the Goodyear located over in Oakfield Center somewhat abruptly closed with a few weeks' notice. They'd been there for a long time, and we're currently working with the broker to find a replacement business for that. There's somebody who recently has expressed an interest and we're working with, so we hope that by next meeting we can share the details with who that is. But that's a space where the special use for automotive repair has been approved many, many years ago, and we definitely want to fill that sooner rather than later. So I wanted to mention that as one of the new businesses hopefully coming to town within the next month or two. Another one that I wanted to mention is our own commissioner and Metra coffee vendor has ceased operations, and through word of mouth, we've had several inquiries for potential vendors to fill that space. And we are in talks with a Metra coffee vendor named Nick Patel, who has 2 other stations and previously had 3. He has just a couple blocks down from here, the Hanover Park station. Many stops east of here, he has the Wooddale station, and for quite a few years he operated the Schaumburg Metro Station coffee vendor space. So he's actually, assuming all the paperwork comes in very soon, is scheduled to be on a village board meeting next Tuesday night to become the next vendor for the Metro Station. As Commissioner Lewinsky knows, and had been the vendor and with his wife, the station, of course, is owned by Metra, but the village has an agreement with Metra to operate certain elements of the station, including the ability to license the small space there for a coffee vendor. It's only 309 square feet. So that's another one that hopefully will be up and running by the next time we meet next month. This one, there's a new Starbucks. I just figured I would mention that. You all heard months ago about how first I mentioned there was a developer looking to subdivide the existing Home Depot subdivision. So through a zoning process that they had to go through, first they had to create a new lot. because the Home Depot subdivision had already been completely subdivided. So for those of you who have followed that whole process through either the media or through the village board, they had to subdivide, create another lot, come in for site plan approvals, traffic study, the whole ball of wax. And the ultimate result was that a developer has put up a new building there in the Home Depot subdivision. The first two tenants are a new Starbucks and the Great Clips that I alluded to that has moved from the Apple Valley Center, where they'd been for quite a long time, across the street to this new center. So there is a second Starbucks. When I told somebody recently that we have a new Starbucks in Bartlett, they congratulated me for getting the village's first Starbucks, but of course I said, well, Bartlett's had one for a long time. This one is just a few miles north of the other one, quite simply to serve a different traffic pattern. It would be difficult would be an understatement of crossing Route 59 during rush hour to get coffee. So they wanted to be able to capture commuters in both directions. So there is a new Starbucks. And then one more that I just want to mention tonight to you is in alluding to possible BEDA applicants, like Commissioner Lewinsky asked. One of the new businesses that we're working with is somebody who has leased the former Platform 18 building right around the corner. And Scott and I have met with both the owner of the building and the tenant several times to discuss his concept and plans. And as you might imagine, it takes some rehabilitation of that space. We don't have an application yet from this person, but that's one of them that we anticipate coming in the near future. So again, we're just kind of talking about it in the early stages right now, but my suspicion is that in the coming months, you'll see a new operator coming in here for some type of BEDA application. So there's other new businesses, but those are four I wanted to mention tonight. And I'd be glad at this time to answer any questions about them.
I have no questions about these pending businesses, but I do have a question about a recent business that's vacating Brewster Creek to head to Knoxville, Tennessee. They were featured in the paper not too long ago, citing property taxes and the availability for a workforce. Has there been any further discussion from other businesses that may be considering vacating Brewster Creek because of, citing those particular instances, or perhaps that, I believe the TIF is for that area is due to expire in 2023?
That TIF 2022, I believe. Well, the short answer is no. Lots of businesses, I don't want to do such a broad, sweeping generalization, but a lot of them do take issue with their property taxes, really no matter where they're located. For a lot of the businesses, of course, in Brewster Creek Business Park is located in DuPage County, and the taxes there generally are lower than they are in Cook County. So you don't often hear businesses in Brewster Creek relocating for that particular reason. But if property taxes become a key issue for a business, then when you talk about moving to a place like Kentucky or Wisconsin or Indiana, it's always going to be lower. The part of that statement, and I hadn't heard that, by the way, about this business, but the more troubling statement is about the workforce. Because a lot of the businesses that come in, they do due diligence all day long about what their property taxes are going to be. I even help them with that quite frequently. Any of us here can go onto any county treasurer's website and look up whatever anybody's property taxes are. So I've had quite a few meetings where I'll show people 6, 8, 10 comparable properties to their own, and try to give them a good feeling for where they can plan what their property taxes will be. Of course, one 100,000 square foot building doesn't necessarily equal another 100,000 square foot building. Some of them will have tax rates twice as high as others, and that's typically due to the build-out of it. It might be a Class A office space versus a Class B or Class C warehouse space, so they're going to pay higher taxes. So, you know, again, that's kind of a longer answer, but the short answer is no. A lot of times, if they approach us with concerns about workforce development issues, we cue them in right away with either Elgin Community College that has a pretty robust workforce development division that is actually expanding currently, and also in some cases with District U46. It kind of depends on what they're looking for. Bartlett has a strong niche in the food cluster, as you know, and the high precision manufacturing. So, you know, I would take both of those comments maybe with a little bit of skepticism, at least about the workforce. But with property taxes, it's always depending on where you relocate. You said Kentucky?
Tennessee.
Tennessee, yeah, there's areas of rural Tennessee where businesses will pay 50 cents or $1 or $1.20 per square foot for taxes. And anything in the Chicago metro area will never reach that. Now, if they're in the Nashville area, it could be higher.
Specifically Knoxville, which is, you know, hardly a rural area.
Right. I mean, businesses do relocate.
Sure.
And, you know, if they're able to access the workforce and get a lower cost of goods sold in another market, then a lot of times you will see them relocate. A lot of times, one of the reasons that they don't is because they value their current workforce that they have in place here, and also, of course, the transportation options that I would argue are superior in Illinois or in the Chicago area than they are in Tennessee. But that always happens, and we'll work with the brokers, I'm sure, to fill that space.
Thank you.
Tony, you're pretty familiar with the Platform 18. Does the village know how extensive the amount of work that need to be rehabbed in there is?
Not quite yet. We haven't been to that point. There's 2 tiers of improvements. I would characterize it for that particular property. The first tier of improvements is basic code violation remedies. Something that you can't open a business or have a customer in until it's remedied. That's one tier and those are applicable for the BEDA program, by the way. We address code-related issues in this program. And of course, the other tier is your build-out. I can't speak as an expert as to the condition of the kitchen equipment, but it's my suspicion that a lot of it needs to be upgraded. And furthermore,
Sounds like a gut job.
I don't know. I can't comment on that. And I don't mean that I know, but I won't. But I can't. I don't know the condition. I mean, it was an operational business just maybe about a year ago. So I mean, and both of us have been in there over the past few months as people have toured it, and you know, some places of it are turnkey ready and in great shape, and other aspects of it, maybe behind the scenes where the customers would sit, need some help. I can't speak exactly to what type of improvements you'll see before you with an application, or if you'll see them apply for a BEDA grant, but you know, it's my suspicion that they would have probably a more extensive amount of work to do than, say, for instance, the Siri Indian grocery people.
What is their concept?
Bar and grill.
Does it make any difference to the village whether it's the future tenant that's going to rehab or the owner?
Not really. Throughout any commercial center in the village, you have both tenants that do build out and rehab, and you have owners. The program is open to both. Tenants, again, like you see tonight, Siri Indian Grocery doing these improvements to a space that they lease. But last month, you saw somebody who purchased their unit in Westgate Commons, who owns the unit, and they're going to reinvest in it. So we don't say that a tenant isn't eligible. In some cases, tenants do a lot more improvements to their center than the owners do. So we want to encourage that. And again, I didn't say this necessarily earlier, but this is a project that they've had in mind to do for at least 2 years at this point. And this program is, in a little way, helping them move forward with it. So that being said, yeah, the tenant can definitely apply for it if they're leasing Platform 18 or any other leasehold space in the village.
Okay.
Since, and speaking of Platform 18, how many lives has that building had since the tap went away?
Well, 2 that I know of.
Papa Joe's or something?
Well, it was called Papa Pacino's for a number of years, and for those of you who were in there at that time, they had a lot of artwork, a lot of Al Pacino posters in it, and Pacino family-inspired dishes, supposedly. And then, Platform 18 was not around for too long. If I had to pinpoint exactly how long, I would guess maybe 18 months to 2 years. Of course, we're hoping to return to the days when somebody was there operating for many years. It was never actually officially called the Bartlett Tap. It was called Bartlett Tavern and Grill on their business license and their menus and their signs. And I couldn't even tell you how long it operated under that name. I think our museum curator might know, but I'm going to say 40 years perhaps.
Yeah. That's what we hope for.
That's what we do hope for.
Another question about that intersection. Has the village started marketing the property from Lucky Jack's? Or is there any plans to do so?
We're in discussions with a few folks right now relative to that property.
Okay.
And we want to bring a good, solid plan to the board. It's probably the largest focal point in the community, so we want to take it seriously and make sure we get the right thing. So we're being cautiously optimistic about it. I hope that answers your question.
It does. I didn't know if any future developer would be interested in expanding into the Platform 18 property and buying it as well and redeveloping the whole area there.
Well, now that it's for lease, that's obviously off the table, but certainly was something that would have been a good consideration.
Okay.
How is the relationship with SVN? Everyone's coming on a year with that?
Yeah, it's a good relationship. As a matter of fact, I believe we're going to be renewing our agreement with them. They've brought us several letters of intent, and some of them have shifted around from month to month. That's kind of hard to characterize as well, because you have one letter of intent, and then you think that's the one that might suit the village's needs the best, and then another one comes along. So what we've been doing is utilizing their expertise and really looking at that property very hard in terms of what would be the best long-term sustainable development that would be best for the village as a whole. So again, our relationship with them is very good, and that's yet another property that I think, in the coming months, we'll probably start telling you about potential projects over there. They're all in the due diligence phase still, but I can tell you we've had several letters of intent on that. I think we've had 4. So we've been weighing the pros and cons of them, and again, wanting to do something that's best in the long-term interest of the village, of how to sell that property and get it developed, hopefully get something going on that this year. And we're going to renew it because we know that they've spent a heck of a lot of time at trade shows and doing their email blasts and just cold calling people. They've generated a lot of these leads.
I take it that you have 4 letter of intents, that they're not all the same, they have different uses that each of these individual companies would like to see?
Well, they're residential in nature with the opportunity for some future commercial. So, I mean, the uses are similar, but none of them are really the same.
That concludes the discussion on new business. We can move on to adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I second the motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.